I just got a quick video here, an interview of with the French finance minister with regards to his concerns about the Inflation Reduction Act that was introduced in the United States. The Inflation Reduction Act is a large piece of legislation aimed primarily at reducing, obviously, inflation in the United States, but it would appear to disadvantage Europe quite a bit. And this is what the French Minister for Finance had to say.
Prévenir plutôt que guérir, je pense qu'il est temps que nous, Européens, nous disions très clairement à nos amis américains, nous avons sur ce sujet de l'IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, et sur le risque de désindustrialisation en Europe, une préoccupation majeure qui doit être réglée dans les meilleurs délais. Et nous, Européens, nous préférons trouver des solutions de compromis avec les États-Unis, mais si les solutions de compromis ne sont pas possibles, dans ce cas-là, nous saurons faire preuve de la même fermeté.
That's fighting talk, isn't it, Porter?
Yeah, it's robust there, all right.
There seems to be a hidden breakage in the relationships, or a fracture developing in the relationships between the United States and the big EU partners, such as Germany and France. I think it's about Ukraine. They may not openly say it, but I think it's about Ukraine and the fact that the Americans are insisting that the EU countries and NATO countries in particular stay in line when it comes to Ukraine. It's also about, I believe, the reality of what's behind the Ukraine war. And that's the taking over of the EU economy by the United States. So pushing Russia out of the game. Russia was such an important player within the EU economy and for EU industry. And the United States, the evidence is already very clearly there. We are buying their natural gas, their liquefied gas, and we are paying 5, 6, 7 times the price that we were paying Russia for their gas. And the figures were released from the United States this week that they have ramped up production of gas and they intend to do so even more. So the notion or the idea that the United States fomented the war in Ukraine to essentially take over the EU economy and make the EU highly dependent on expensive US energy and aluminium and so many other things, it seems to be transpiring. And those fractures are starting to show publicly, I think, as we can see with the French finance minister's response when he was asked about the Inflation Reduction Act. Have you any thoughts or opinions on this, Porter?
Just calls into question the problems that there is with full economic integration into Europe, that member states aren't necessarily able to exercise their own financial sovereignty. You're dependent on you're having an influence there from America, influence from war. There's when more and more as I think about it, Finbar, in the case of Ireland, we're nearly like we're kind of like loving a loan shark, somebody that gives you a loan and gets you out of trouble, but they come back and bite you, and we're getting bitten here, like, so. That's my observation from it.
Yeah, and our lick-spittle politicians who are principally, and I think most of them in government anyway, are principally concerned with their careers and climbing up that EU and maybe even possibly into the future that NATO and that UN ladder to try to get to the top. I think that's often what their primary concerns are.